Alright, welcome back everyone. It is NewMutator and I'm bringing you game number 2 in this week 3 of Osmodian's tournament. It is, once again, Team Ratking versus Team Osmodian, and Ratking was able to take the first game, game 1. Oops, I'm all mixed up here on my keyboard. Yeah, so Ratking's team was able to take game 1 in this best of 5. And Chicken Wire saying, oh, what's Chicken Wire saying? Could have lost because, Chicken Wire blaming the captain, and that's actually a common, something very common in Myth, I think, is people blaming the captain for moving their units. And there we go. Chicken Wire saying, yeah, I could have won, except, you know, the captain controlled my units. So Osmodian once again going to be captaining for his team: Ramirez, Somnus, Chicken Wire, Adrenaline, Funky, and Mercredon. Yeah, we saw that a few of these players didn't have, it was disproportionate. Adrenaline, Mercredon, and Chicken Wire and Osmodian tend to have more units than, you know, Ramirez, Somnus, and Funky. And I don't know if there was anybody else on the team, but Funky and Somnus in particular are getting kind of the short end of the stick. And, you know, Osmodian, probably, my knowledge of him is that he would probably say, you know, he'd rationalize it saying, yeah, they're weak players, so they deserve less, they're probably going to lose it for our team, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily true. But he's, he is free to think what he wants to think. It doesn't really matter. It's not my team. And so anyway, here's a Ratking's team. Cremisi flatline. Mouse Queen is drunk, and mid zombie I think is Bagarda, who I don't know what that is, but I think I saw something about drunken referring to Bagarda, so I think mid zombie is Bagarda. Thierry, of course, and Switch are all here for the team. Switch doesn't get too many units. Now the difference between these two teams is that you know, it seems like Osmodian's team has some really good players, but one could argue that they also have, you know, some weaker players. And while Ratking's team has, you know, some weaker players, I guess, I think the argument goes something like, you know, their players are more consistently, they play more consistently well, I guess, altogether, all of their players. Whereas, you know, somebody, an observer looking in from the outside might say, yeah, but there's some really good players on Osmodian's team, but there's also some weak players, and so, you know, more units are going to go to the good players, which means that you know, the units going to the weak players, there's going to be fewer units going to the weak players, which means that there's a disproportionate amount of units going to the good players, which means that they're going to have too much to control, and they're going to inevitably end up losing more units. You know, they're not going to be able to control more units better than they would be able to control fewer units. Whereas, you know, everybody on Ratking's team is kind of expected to pull their weight.
Captured.
And that could be an argument. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I would tend to argue against that. I would tend to say something like, you know, well, that's the captain's fault. That's not really anybody's fault on the team other than the captain. The captain needs to kind of learn how to distribute the units. You know, they need to actually put some thought into that instead of, you know, just coming and showing up and being like, well, it's not how I thought it would be, and you know, therefore it's somebody else's fault. Anyway, enough of that rambling. Basically, captures is interesting. This week, the third week, is the first week we're actually going to see captures ball game contested at all. I don't think I've actually casted a game with balls in it, and I'm actually using a mouse this game, so hopefully I'll be able to be a little more, you know, click on stuff a little bit more quickly. Hopefully you don't hear that, but yeah. So basically, teams are going to be dribbling balls, and it's going to be interesting. Because they can dribble balls up, stick them on terrain, and just guard them. So they're basically like movable flags. It's territories, except instead of flags that are static, they're basically these balls. And now the reason why captures and games like that were not used in the Myth World Cup, I'm assuming, is because there is a potential to abuse that game type. You know, you could pile the balls up on a ton of explosives and basically blast them off the map and that kind of stuff. And you know, that's happened in the past, and so I'm assuming that Grimm, who was the organizer, the tournament organizer for the Myth World Cup 2012, decided that that was the reason why he wasn't going to include that game type, or any ball game types for that matter, in the games for the Myth World Cup. So that's why this is my first captures game that I've casted at all. And okay, so enough of that. Basically 5-4. It looks as if Team Asmodian is going to have a slight advantage here. They have the ball advantage, but they have, I don't know, a couple of percentage points lower than Team Ratking. Gonna blow up the map slightly. Okay, so anyway, back to the game. It looks like Ratking is going to scout out this ball. Adrenaline basically is defending this position. Behind Ratking, behind his goal is Myth Zombie or Bagrada and Ratking's melee force. They also have a lot of pus, I think. Actually, no pus at all. Where'd all the pus go? They have one pus goal, Myth Zombie, with that. So Adrenaline, I guess, is going to give up that ball. And the lead again goes to Ratking's team. The other balls for Ratking's team, they're going to get stuck in this position. And all the balls for Asmodian's team are going to be in this area over here. Now, in the mid, this is the middle area, we're going to have the teams basically posting up opposite each other and staring each other down. Here's Funky. Okay, Funky's joining the fray. Now, like I said in game one, the only thing Funky is lacking is some two-team experience, I think. That's what I believe, and I'll stand by that. I think he can play, actually, you know, fairly well. He can definitely beat me. He beat me, like, I don't know how many games in a row, so I was really impressed with his level of playing. Alright, so this is going to be an area of contention. Ratking basically bombing his own units. That didn't work out for him at all. It was a defensive bomb, but didn't really work to his favor at all. So those percentages are going to close up just a little bit as Chicken Wire now joins the fray. This ball is basically stuck, so, you know, Myth Zombie or Bagrada and Ratking basically should probably unstick the ball by throwing an explosive on it. We'll see if they do that. This is probably the you know, the big area of contention right now on the map. There we go. They unstick the ball, and Switch is going to dribble it back home, I think. While that's happening, Adrenaline, you know, watches with dismay as Switch begins to dribble it back. And now we have Mercadon from Asmodian's team. He is going to be pressing here in the south. And he is pushing up against Kremisi. Kremisi has all this pus with him, and Mercadon has pus as well, I believe. Not a whole lot of archers. You know, I would have expected more archers here, but all the archers, I guess, are in the middle area here for Asmodian's team. And everybody, it's funny, Asmodian's team is still hanging out here in the middle. And Ratking's team is basically nowhere to be found. They're falling back. Since now they have the advantage, they can play more defensively. Falling back to their balls. This is their little ball collection going on here. Now, it would seem like this is a great idea, and it usually is, but it also opens you up to losing the game really quickly if somebody is able to slip through and tag all of the balls while, you know, they're very easy to defend. You know, say you're engaged elsewhere, somebody slips through, tags all of them, you have basically no time to prevent that from happening. So the best way to prevent that from happening is just to set up some kind of impregnable defense around that area. Which, you know, it looks like Ratking and company are going to be doing that. And for some reason, you know, Adrenaline and Funky and everybody else on Team Ratking, Chicken Wire, and Ramirez, I think they don't realize that there's really nobody there that they should be going on offense, because you know, I would think they would have left quite some time ago. 5 minutes remaining. Now it's closer to 4 minutes, and so something needs to be done, and it needs to be done relatively soon. You know, you can't just rely on Mercredon to swoop in and take all of those balls. He's not going to be able to do it all by himself. Kremisi's just going to puss him and take him out. And Chicken Wire expressing his angst here. But I don't know why Osmodian and Adrenaline are telling Funky to back off. You know, Funky's probably has the best idea out of everybody else on their team. Look, there's nobody on Ratking's team here. There's a couple of units here. There's a couple of units here. Well, more than a couple. And then, you know, Thierry, of course, is here. Basically, they should just rush Thierry. I don't know why they're not rushing Thierry, or, you know, sending somebody down this way. Well, it looks like now they sense that they have some momentum. So Chicken Wire and Mercredon are basically tag teaming Kremisi and Flatline. Thierry is going to try to hold them off, but you know, maybe Adrenaline's going to. And Funky, I think he went a little bit too far back. See, that's the problem there. You need to give a little bit more specific orders, not just say go back, but, you know, back up to where you were before or something like that. And so, yeah, Funky being out of position is gonna hurt Team Osmodian a lot right now. But you know, you have to keep it in perspective. Like, he just didn't know what exactly he was supposed to be doing at this point in time. You know, nobody was spelling it out. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm a blank slate. What do I do? And nobody's communicating. So, you know, it's no surprise that Osmodian's team is a little bit behind at this point. And Thierry's just kind of wrecking, I don't know, whoever's melee that was. So here comes Funky, but now Drunken and Thierry are in a position where they can deflect him, because they have a considerable percentage advantage over the remaining forces from Team Osmodian. You know, Chicken Wire, Osmodian, Ramirez, and Mercredon are all here, ready to go. But you know, and Adrenaline is even here. But they need to push. They needed to have been pushing for quite some time. Adrenaline is telling Funky to get in there, but I don't know. I think if Team Osmodian has something like TeamSpeak, they could have had a better shot at this game. But as it is, I don't really see that they have a very good position to win at this point. 78-62%, and falling Mercredon, we just saw him got pussed, and basically his melee is going to be taken out here. Some more pus being thrown down on, I guess, Kremisi pussing his own units, and Thierry's going to help clean up Mercredon. Chicken Wire is going to be moving in, but I don't know. I do not know. It just doesn't seem like Team Osmodian's in a very good position at all. I think they were very unwise in engaging at this point. You know, when they could have slipped around and done this a long time ago, slipped in through the back way like that, it would have been on a lot more even terrain, and they would have had a little bit better shot. And their whole entire middle was just sitting around for, you know, 5 minutes when they should have been pressing. So I'm not really sure exactly why they chose to play the way they did, this game. There may have been stuff that I missed that I wasn't able to catch. But at least Adrenaline able to snipe Ratking's dwarf there.
Game over.
Yeah, so Asmodian saying, yeah, let's try to steal a ball, but they weren't able to get anything. And, you know, even Team Ratking was able to slip through some units. A Drunken with the Thrall Brigade attempting to take the balls, attempting to sneak across the entire map with Thrall to take the balls of Team Asmodian, and he probably would have gotten away with it. That's the sad thing, had there been a little bit more time. Okay, so game 2, kind of a dud for Team Asmo. Ratking played the game very well. They were able to take the ball and the advantage early on in the game, and immediately after that, they didn't screw around. They just fell back to their home and played the aggressive defense, more or less. You know, sounds like an oxymoron, but it's not. They played very well this game and deserved to win. They got the win here, so now they're up 2-0 in this best of 5. Looking at the players, Tourney did excellently, 110 damage, 14 kills. Only 6 losses for him. Flatline managing to get 12 kills. Guess he's next in line. 66 damage for him. But yeah, most of that damage was from Tourney. That's pretty amazing. Well, maybe not most, but a great deal of it. All right, so for Team Asmodian, Adrenaline 75 damage. That's going to be the most for anybody on the team. Ramirez 52 damage, second on the team. Mercadon only 19 damage. I think he nuked his own units or something. Kind of interesting. And Asmodian 5 kills and 0 damage. I guess that's from healing all those whites. Alright, so that's it for game number 2. We'll see you in game number 3.